He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute! Greetings, citizens of Fair Gotham, and welcome back to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that promises we won't get too dark. This might be the Dark Knight, but oh boy. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And I am here still hoping to keep the tone upbeat. It's me, Niall McGowan.
Yeah, if you don't realise what we're talking about, you're soon gonna. So let's just introduce our wonderful, amazing guests one more time. It's Rikky and Ash.
Hello.
Hey. Well, that was minute 1, 2, 3.
That was it.
Please, let's leave it there.
Yes, we are here to talk about minute 1, 2, 3. We probably should leave it there. But the minute starts with us being trapped in the closet, and it ends with the 5 millionth visual design studio getting their due. More text ticking along.
It's still it's nothing on your average, like, Disney Marvel thing, which turns into a solid wall of text for literally 10 minutes.
I think the font's smaller and everything with those too. It's properly less like, this is just a small country of people.
Yeah, this is a chunky font and everything.
Well, that's the thing. When people said that the new movie, The Batman, how long is it? People said like 2 hours 50 or something. You can probably shave 15 minutes of that off, to be honest. It's just credits.
I will say, too, from watching it, you don't feel the length. It just feels like the length of a normal film. It's like, again, I am very biased towards Batman movies, though. But we'll say one thing, though, about these credits, in that they are an inherently bit of a step down from the previous movies' credits, because I always enjoy the fact that Batman Forever brings back the opening visual of, the Warner Brothers shield morphs into the bat symbol, and it's like a black bat symbol outlined in blue. And then in the end credits, the credits are coming up, and it's that same thing. And I thought, that's really cool. And then this one is just like, it's black. Just white credits on a black backdrop. It's like, you had a really cool thing going again. You're like the whole bat symbol with the Robin symbol in front of it. Like, that's a great visual. You put it here again. Just do something like to kind of amp up the credits a bit, but
they just can't be bothered.
I think they've used Caslon Antique.
Is this the font?
Yeah, it's a font. It's the one that the Sisters of Mercy use on the.
Oh,
it's the Les Mis font.
I literally was trying to find a font the other day. This is so sad. This is the lamest thing I've ever said. Because I was making a T-shirt for the store for our upcoming show, Miami Minutes. And I wanted the exact font they wrote something in. So I found like 6 different pieces of software that'll analyze an image and recommend the font to you. Never was exact. So I should have took it to you, Ash. Dialogue editors and ADR editors at the beginning. Well, shame on both of you.
So this film was quite strikingly ultra ADR'd. I presume you've covered this already. This is like the most
90% of it.
It was like ADR'd with a megaphone. I don't know what it was that they did. But
it was so shoddily, particularly talking about ADR editing. It's like some of us like, you barely, like, it's so, you just did it like the morning of the premiere of the movie or something. It's just like, it looks awful.
But it'll be fine.
The thing is, though, looked up the, one of the people credited for it is Bobby Banks, MPSE. Don't know what that
I was really hoping you said Bobby Blank. Is it Bobby Blank? The one who made Tybo? Billy Blanks.
Yeah. Well, he strikes me as the type of guy who would have been like a freeze goon.
Yeah.
Or like one of the neon gangs. Like, it's Billy Blanks.
I had to do Tybo at school. That was our PE.
Oh, I remember just the ads for Tybo. When, like, in Ireland, before we got satellite TV, we just had, like, we had, your BBC One through, Channel 4. But then you had RT1 and RT2. And then they added TV3. Oh. And the first, like, half of the day in TV3 was just American infomercials. And it was always Billy. It was always the Tybo one. The last like 40 minutes, but it became fascinating. So I'd watch it like multiple times a week just to kind of sit and be like,
hey,
who is this guy? What's his deal?
I was obsessed with those channels that would just show weird American infomercials. I remember there was one for like a hair removal cream that I just wet myself at because it was called Nads.
Oh yeah, Nads.
Remember Nads? Yeah, and I was like, you can't call it that.
The thing is, too, because that would have been in the era of Beavis and Butthead, where I'm pretty sure they actually call testicles nads. That's where I know that from, is from Beavis and Butthead. So it's not as if there was a thing of like, oh, it's a generational gap. It's like, no, you should know what this is.
Weirdos.
But
then I used to watch QVC for fun, so there you go.
Bobby Banks, though, is kind of weirdly prolific. And if you actually look her up, one of the first things that'll come up in Google is an article called "Breaking Glass Ceilings in the Sound Design." And apparently, she's a person of color who is like one of the few females working in sound editing, which is kind of really heartbreaking. It's like, well, this isn't a good job, to be fair, with this movie.
I'm not going to put it all on her because that's an amazing thing to hear. I love that. You know, there's a whole team involved here.
This is not her first movie, or by any means like that she's had like a small career or anything, because she began work with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which may still be the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. It's negligible.
Definitely is. It definitely is.
It has Oingo Boingo on the soundtrack, so it gets a pass.
Hey, anything with Oingo Boingo is automatically good.
Did you watch the new one? Did you watch the new Texas Chainsaw?
Oh, I did. That was all. I knew it was going to be awful too. I was like, I gotta see this thing.
Oh, fucking hell!
Oh, was it really bad? I haven't seen it.
Really bad.
Awful. It is just unbearable.
I think it's like they've seen the poster for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and they've gone, that guy is the guy. He's got a chainsaw. He massacres people. Got it. Okay, let's make a film.
They forget. Like they turn him into like Jason. And it's like, he had a family and stuff. Like the whole appeal of Texas Chainsaw was.
I thought because they've got this whole town. It's like a whole ghost town. And it's like, oh, it's going to be full of crazy cannibals, and then it's just the one guy, and he doesn't even build any furniture out of his victims or anything. It's rubbish.
Oh yeah, none of the visuals. No going into a house and finding like an Ed Gein people furniture.
Wait, that's the whole point of the character.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a complete waste. It's a complete waste of a project.
Like, and I understand some people have a problem with 2, because it's a very different movie. But at least it's doing something interesting and different with it. Whether you like it or not, it's like, okay, that's a unique thing. But this just sounds like
fun, isn't it?
This sounds like there's no horror or fun.
Oh, there's horror. There's lots of good chainsaw deaths.
Yeah, Gore's not necessarily horror, though, is it?
Tell a film on that.
But actually, it delivers more in the massacre element than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
there's
original.
A legitimate chainsaw massacre in it, which is possibly.
Well, it lives up to the name.
Yeah.
Is breaking glass ceilings in sound design supposed to be a pun about Foley artists?
Maybe. I mean, actually, I didn't think of it at the time, but that now perfectly does work as a pun.
Now add a glass shattering sound effect there, please.
Let's do it with my voice. I'm my own Foley artist.
That was good as well.
There's plenty of royalty-free ones you can download. I find them for the Patreons.
But she also worked on Elm Street 5, which is it's in the bad end of the Elm Streets, but also the first Turtles movie, TMNT, which is great. Worked on Crybaby, of course, John Waters, classic.
Underrated movie, Crybaby.
Yeah. Killer Tomatoes, Eat France.
Wait. I was a huge Killer Tomatoes fan. Sorry, Killer Tomatoes, let's say. As a kid, I loved the first movie, loved the second movie, loved the cartoon. What the hell's this? I've never heard of this.
No, they kept going with lower rent sequels.
I remember
John Astin stuck around for them as well.
Seen it in the video shop, but never got it out, and I feel a bit sad about that.
I really hope there's no onion jokes in there.
Please, let's do a bonus episode on it, everyone.
The thing is, there definitely will be an onion joke because Killer Tomatoes Eat France is exactly the type of... The Killer Tomatoes franchise is exactly the type of franchise that would make that joke.
Oh, 100%.
She also worked on School Ties, which of course has our boy Chris O'Donnell in it, an upcoming Firefly, Brendan Fraser, the movie they were in together, where Brendan Fraser is like a Jewish guy, goes it's set in the 50s. A Jewish guy goes to stay in like a privileged white, prep school or whatever, and it turns out they're all anti-Semites there, and there's an awkward scene in a shower and all this kind of business. But
that sounds very serious.
Yeah, I remember I was looking up research about like whether people found Chris O'Donnell attractive. They kept talking about the shower scene that was in School Ties. But Bobby Banks, though, still cracking. Her most recent project was a little film called The Batman. So
what?
Clearly, Matt Reeves saw the ADR editing in this and went, good enough. Yeah, sure. You can get her in for this one.
He probably said to her, look, I know it wasn't your fault.
Yeah. I'm presuming it probably was more like, we got like 2 weeks to do this. So, like, we've given ourselves this insane schedule to make this movie where we should have given ourselves another year at least. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was one of the some of the many projects he's worked on.
Oh. Well, that was a nice bit of fun before we have to discuss the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Smashing Pumpkins have vacated the soundtrack.
We are listening to Gotham City by R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Right. Remember before we knew of his evil, right? This guy was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like, huge.
Like one of the biggest selling R&B artists of all time, I believe. Like, still is.
And especially because, like, when I was a kid, I have a sister 5 years older than me. So she was the perfect age to be buying all the R&B that was coming out in the 90s. So then I heard it all filtered through her. So I probably heard every R. Kelly song back in the day.
But no, I do remember, like, back in the day when you knew. Well, the thing is, though, because all these accusations of R. Kelly go back to even before this movie came out.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like now knowing that, like, well, they probably knew that he had red in his ledger back then.
But I think
the piss thing was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And everyone just went, never mind.
I mean, he wrote, he was married to Aliyah in the early 90s.
Oh,
and
this shocks me, yeah.
When she was like 15, and then he co-wrote her hit single, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And it's like, this is red flag central.
Who did that?
This guy. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I've got the full deets on that, right? Kelly was introduced to Aliyah, by her uncle, Barry Hankerson, when she was 12.
Ugh.
Right? I mean, they didn't do anything, but they were introduced, shall we say. And during Kelly's criminal trial in 2021, so quite recent, for sex trafficking and racketeering, a witness testified that Kelly had sexual contact with her when she was 13. This is dark. This is really...
He is...
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. So I kind of lost track of the whole case with him because I just knew, like, oh yeah, like I think the last I really remember hearing about him was when he blew up during that interview, when all these accusations, and he had a proper meltdown, and it was still that period where like, oh, R. Kelly, what a ridiculous person, because he, again, things like Same Girl and that the Real Talk video and stuff like that, which were back in the day were hilarious. But, not intentionally so. They were just hilarious songs.
Yeah.
For the wrong reasons. But looking into now, it's like, oh, no, he is currently in prison. Like, he has been convicted, awaiting sentencing. And it's like he is facing potentially life imprisonment for like the level of stuff he's done. It's like, this guy is... Oh, and it's like, it's always kind of like, oh, f*** R. Kelly. But like, no, this guy. He is scum. Like, he's a proper scumbag.
So imagine my trepidation coming down to ashes. And the one bit of this that I hadn't really, because I watched the film, I hadn't really listened to the soundtrack, but I knew the soundtrack was a feature. So I was listening to the soundtrack on one of those little voice scooters that you hire. Yeah. Which are lethal at the best of times, never mind in the pitch black.
Oh, they're terrifying.
And I was coming down the dodgy streets with like, and it had been raining and it was like wet on the floor. I said, I really hope I don't have an accident on one of these. And somehow pull the headphones out of my phone as the emergency services arrive. I was like, is he listening? Is he listening to Gotham City by R. Kelly in the year 2022?
Imagine if you died in that moment, that'd be in your like obituary, like a huge fan of R. Kelly.
Well, that was the weird thing too. I was surprised looking into the song. Because I don't like this song at all. Oh. It's not just because it's R. Kelly. It's just more like it's not my kind of thing.
Oh my God, we're really at odds on this then. Because despite it being R. Kelly, I was like, this is a banger.
I hate this song.
It's not a good song.
No.
Although I did sort of think as like, if you imagine it as like an in-universe town pride kind of song
Yeah.
that exists, I could kind of get it that way, but just as a song, like everything about it is horrible. Like
Gotham City.
the lyrics
City
is quite bad. It's got
Justice.
children singing. It's got really, really bad drum programming. It's sort of horrible.
City of Love.
But I
But
think
the thing is, it was when it came out though. People like music critics really loved it.
It's
as well. Like
great.
it was so
I don't know what you're on about there, John.
wildly acclaimed. It was bizarre. Like
But it was also in the UK specifically, wasn't it? Like record-breaking #1 for 30 years.
it
or
was like
something.
the sequel to I Believe I Can Fly, including the popularity.
the thing is, probably that's what it's designed to be. It was like, oh, we can do something that's a bit like because you always had, the previous movie, you had a slightly heavier song, which was the lead single, and then you had Seal, which was the kind of ballady one. And then this one's like, all right, so we got Smashing Pumpkins. We'll get a kind of a more ballady kind of thing. So, yeah.
Similarly to the Smashing Pumpkins song, it was written specifically for it and doesn't fit the tone at all.
No.
But
I'll give you that. It does
I
not
think-
fit the tone.
The Smashing Pumpkins song at least fits the tone of the Burton verse, whereas this is like, how does he not know that Gotham City is supposed to have a completely different vibe to this? It's like
It's a town pride song. They're
like
not
he's
going to
never-
be saying we live in a dead bad town. It's like the potential's there.
That's interesting you bring that up because that is a question I had was like, as much as I am saying I like the song, is Gotham City a city of justice, love and peace?
R. Kelly says, again, similarly to the Smashing Pumpkins, he says about it that he wrote it from... He tried to put himself in Batman's shoes.
That's what Batman wants.
This is what
Yeah.
Batman's thinking of.
Yeah, this is how it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I suppose you could argue throughout the movies, if you're going to consider them as a continuous thing, he has slowly made it better. Compare this Gotham to the 89 Gotham.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can imagine that you could legitimately actually put it through the eyes of Batman and been like, yeah, I want to make this a city of justice and a city of love.
I imagine
Or
that's
my
the
thing
kind
is-
of music that Batman would make. He would just go,
Particularly this version of
This
Batman.
doesn't fit.
Yeah,
sit well.
he might actually have landed more closer to understanding the assignment than the Smashing Pumpkins did by being like, well, I guess I can imagine George Clooney version of Bruce Wayne listening to this. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
Yeah, the
this
George
Batman.
Clooney version.
Maybe like Bruce Wayne would endorse this song in universe.
Mm.
Not so much Batman.
It'd play in the
Yeah,
background while he did like
Mayoral
public
campaign.
affirmation
Yeah.
video.
City
Yeah.
of Justice.
So one of the on the subject of justice, a big injustice of things that I posted online that I thought should have got a better response because I thought they were funnier than anybody else did was after Joker came out, and you can see where I'm going with this. After Joker came out, you know that the key, what's the word I'm looking for? The signature shot of Joker is him dancing down the stairs.
Oh, wait, is
The tune
this
that
about the
happens
song?
to the which is Gary Glitter in itself doing that song, which isn't.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
Patreon episode coming out tomorrow. We talk about it for a while. Yeah.
You really? What's the subject of the Patreon episode? Or did you just come up casually?
It's
in
just an
chat?
issue of a comic of the Dark Victory graphic
Oh,
novel.
I've not done
But
that,
it comes
that,
up for some reason for about 5 minutes.
But I made a clip where it was Joker dancing down the stairs, but instead of dancing down the stairs to Gary Glitter, he's dancing down the stairs to Gotham City by R. Kelly.
Oh my God,
And I
yes.
posted it online, and I was like, and I'm very ashamed because I'm loath to do this, but I literally sat down with a woman in our work who has no interest in any of the things that I post online. And I was like, right, the reason this is funny.
Let me break
Then
down
I got
the
home
joke
from
for
work
you.
that night and I had one like from her. I was like, oh, God.
Hey, please share it.
Never
I know you're not on
thought of that,
Facebook
that's
anymore.
right.
Send it our way. We can put it in the group. That
was-
has to go in the
does
group.
sound like that's one of the amount of memes I've made where I'm like, this should be viral. This should be a hit. And it gets no traction. You're like, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't this bigger than it is?
Blame the algorithm.
That was it.
Well, but the weird thing about like the song of Gotham City is like its reputation lasted for my main associations with it are my friend Kenny, who Kenny's like, he's an odd guy. Like he's one of these people who presents, you wouldn't think he was weird to look at him. Like he just seems like a normal, like everyday fella.
Yeah, he
But
looks
when
like he'd be bland and boring, but he's not.
He's just got a real distinct oddness about him. I just remember one of the time talking about the Batman soundtracks. He's like, "Oh yeah, mate, my favorite ever song of that at Gotham City, the R. Kelly song. I was like,
What?
I was what? And then he was like, no, I'll put it on for you. And he sat down, and everyone was sitting around at a whole party. And he put on God, and he just sat quietly, just like nodding his head along with it, and just like, and everyone sitting around, what the fuck is this? And just hearing this, like,
if you look at the YouTube comments on the Gotham City video, it's people saying he may have done some terrible things, but you can't deny this music, like as if it's Billie Jean. That's
the thing. As much as I'm saying I like it, I mean, he's not Michael Jackson. He's not.
Weirdly enough, in my research, I didn't realize apparently R. Kelly wrote "You Are Not Alone" for Michael Jackson. I didn't realize they did work together.
One of the worst Michael Jackson songs ever released.
You know what? As well, now that you say it, I can hear it.
Yeah,
it sounds like an R. Kelly song.
Oh, but beyond that though, like so associated with Kenny and just like this weird thing where he just made everyone sit down and quietly listen to Gotham City, and everybody in the room was like, "Well, this is awful." But also, I remember at one point when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, Kevin Smith talking about it because him and Kevin Smith were pals back in the 90s, and he was saying like, he thought that Kevin Smith could just imagine. Because he remembered working on, I think it was like Jersey Girl or something, around the time Batman and Robin came out. He was working with Ben Affleck on something anyway. And he said Ben Affleck would constantly go around just singing, City of Justice, City of Love.
Yes.
And he's like, I guarantee you he'll be on set in the Batman outfit, walking around Batman vs. Superman going, City of Justice, City of Love.
Oh, God, yes.
Wow. That's the cut they need to release.
Release the City of Justice cut.
So that key scene in Batman versus Superman, where it's the key fight that is based on the Arkham games, where he drops down through the ceiling and he grabs onto the crate with a grapple hook and throws it into somebody, and he gets shot in the back of the head and he shoves it, all of that, but it's just under his breath. He's like, City of Justice, City of Love. Must be made.
That scene was such a joy, though, if you were a fan of those Arkham games. It's like he's doing the little fucking explosive gel shit and everything.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Just press stop after that scene and you're good, aren't you?
Yeah, you're just literally going like X. Oh no. One of the more surprising things, because we talked a little bit earlier in the week about Bone Thugs and Harmony. I didn't realize though, because I knew the soundtrack album was a hit, but like. They released 11 singles from the...
Wait, 11?
11 of 15 tracks.
Yeah, but this was back
singles.
in the day where buying a single was about £2.
And some of them had already been like out, like fun for me and stuff like that. Like it wasn't a single from the...
Oh no, they re-released it though.
Yeah, but that's cheaper.
Did it again.
Sorry. It's just that Niall introduced this by saying we talked earlier in the week, and that implies that you're going to leave in the bit where I tried to make the joke between Home and Bargain and Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Well, that's going to be the title of the episode and everything, Ricky.
It's the highlight of the week.
Betrayal if that made it in there.
But some of the other tracks on there, because much like Batman Forever, which had like friggin' Nick Cave in the soundtrack and everything, you have 15 tracks. Obviously, you have 2 from Smashing Pumpkins, R. Kelly. Some we've talked about already, like The Foolish Games, Jewel, Lazy Eye by Goo Goo Dolls, which plays during the Golem Neon Gang scene. And then Fun for Me, of course, Moloko also plays. But then you get other songs like, Look Into My Eyes by Bone Thugs and Harmony, which apparently was the second single released. I would have assumed it would have been Gotham City, would have been the second single.
So Pumpkins was the first single, yeah?
Oh yeah, that was the lead single. Then Look Into My Eyes, which if you look at the video, again, has nothing to do with Batman and Robin. But occasionally, they'll just cut to a shot of the Bathammer.
Yeah.
And then it ends that they're going to like a movie premiere and a guy pulls up in the Batmobile. And that's the only connections between that and the actual film.
That's all you needed back then.
What is the Bathammer?
It's the big, like, ice vehicle he drives near the end.
When he's driving in tandem with Batgirl and Robin, and they're on their own.
Yeah, he's on his like a swamp boat thing, and Batgirl's on a motorbike that somehow doesn't skid on ice.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff,
And he says shield, and it opens up a flap, and then the flap goes down, and that was the
That's the
second.
one.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah. I don't know what you'd call that. I suppose Bathammer is as good as anything else.
The other thing we got into in those episodes, why is it a bat hammer? I guess he doesn't hammer anything in it, so why is it called a bat hammer?
I think it just because it's big and bulky, so it can plow its way through things. Like bam, smash through.
Great name for a band, Bathammer.
Bathammer, yes.
I think
I kept coming up to that week. I kept singing the Arcade Fire song "Black Mirror," but replacing the chorus with Bat Hammer.
I think I kept singing Sledgehammer. It was Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
The Bathammer.
As long as I'm not scooting home after this, going City of Justice to myself.
I think it's already in the works, Mickey.
Yeah, people.
The seeds have been sown.
I think they
You'll
probably
be known as an R. Kelly fan.
Some of the other singles that came out here, or some of the other songs that featured on the soundtrack as well. You got House on Fire by Arcarna. Don't think about that.
That sounds
Revolution?
like Loser by Beck, and it
Yes.
also sounds exactly like Setting Sun by Chemical Brothers featuring Noel Gallagher.
You are right.
Oh.
It does sound like
And
both of those things.
It sounds exactly like both of those songs, and it's a very good example of 1997 being a horrible mess.
I wanted to ask you about this actually, Ash, because I've been nurturing a very long playlist on Spotify, which you've added a few tracks to, which is Old Mixtape Memories, which is where I got my entire taste of music from, which was mixtapes that you made for us between the years 2001 to 2004. And I wondered, is this another track to go on Old Mixtape Memories? Was this something that you would have played to us back in the day?
I have no memory of this song ever existing, but apparently it was in a lot of films, and it was these are the little facts, because I went on their Wikipedia earlier because I was going, what's this? And the facts are, one of them wrote Mysterious Girl. The Peter Andre song that was written by a member of Arcana.
That's right.
And I think,
Oh my god, that's amazing.
and maybe the same guy or maybe a different guy is the son of Cream from Godly and Cream, and they are massive in Indonesia. That's Arcana.
I'll tell you, you know who, Godly and Cream, they directed, well, one of them directed the video for Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
Everything's
Whoa!
Yeah, so there you go.
Ash, John and Niall, is it too late at this point in the film to introduce a new section where Ash goes, these are the little facts?
I've got little facts about a lot of these because I was just, I had a little look at all of them, but I was in work, so I couldn't do it properly. But I think they're good, the short form.
Ash, what's a little fact about The Bug by Soul Coughing?
The little fact about The Bug by Soul Coughing is Soul Coughing are great, and I used to always listen to Ruby Vroom, the CD.
No, see, I think you're wrong on this because you played us Soul Coughing between the years of 2001 2004, and they definitely were on Old Mixtape Memories. But I think we've collectively, without speaking about it, come to acknowledge that what we thought was very sophisticated lyrics was childish.
Oh no, absolutely. But I think coming back and having a listen now to a song that wasn't on that CD and getting to hear them again, they're a good laugh.
It's like
they are very pretentious, but they do it in a very individualistic way, and you can't get it nowhere else.
I remember me and you sat round, and I think we were with our mate David Kinder, going,
"Get onto the bus. This is gonna take you back to Beelzebub." That one's good.
I remember us sitting round going, if man is 5, then the devil is 6. And if the devil is 6, then God is 7. Imagine writing that. Imagine writing that. How much of a genius must you be to write that? Here I am, 38 years old. Go, fuck.
No, it's great. That.
What a load of crap.
Come off it. I'm having none of that.
God is 7. You know.
I'm trying to think. Someone else mentions. Don't the Pixies reference that?
No,
sorry, that was the Pixies. But around that time,
I
didn't do the segue, but around that time, we were listening to a lot of the Pixies. And,
that's why I was like, hang on a minute, that sounds really familiar.
Although I still listen to the Pixies, I'm not giving any. I'm not giving anyone any leeway on their lyrics anymore.
Hey, I had 2 Pixies songs on today at work. That's fine.
Here's a little one about Breed
fact.
by Lauren Christie.
Little fact on the way.
If anyone's seen that, it's a bit like Meredith Brooks.
Oh, right.
And it's got a music video, and I remember seeing the music video, and it sounds like it's not great, but it has a go. But she was part of, shortly after doing Breed by Lauren Christie on the Batman and Robin soundtrack, she went and formed a songwriting team called The Matrix, and they wrote all of Avril Lavigne. They wrote Skater Boy and Complicated and the other one.
That's it.
Oh
that's
my
That's
God.
all of them. And when Head left Korn,
Yeah.
Remember
when Head left Korn to be,
Oh, I remember
think 'cause he
vividly.
went
They were my
religious.
favorite band back then.
they got The Matrix in to write that album with the guy with the horse head on the front.
Oh my God, what the hell?
And it sounds
That's
like Korn.
insane.
So they're quite good at writing Korn songs.
I have some even littler facts about Meredith Brooks. She's a bitch. I'm a bitch. She's a lover. She's a child. She's a mother. She's a sinner. She's a saint. And she said at the time she doesn't feel ashamed, but I hope at some point she's looked back and reassessed.
I have to say, my world has been rocked because I assumed that Avril Lavigne wrote all her own songs.
that
I didn't
seemed to be
realize
the thing, didn't it? But no, apparently not. Apparently it was
Yeah,
The
the
Matrix.
whole vibe that she was supposed to be like
Featuring
the
Lauren
new.
Well,
Yeah, she was going to be like the new Alanis Morissette back in the day. Well, briefly, but like I just always assumed like this was her whole deal. But now it's like, well, she didn't even write them.
Not according to Wikipedia.
She's gone and made things complicated.
I
But why?
do that.
this is weird timing again because the as of recording, the Patreon episode that's about to come out, we spend about 5 minutes talking about Avril Lavigne.
Well, she is back. Of course,
She's
so-
back, and I
again.
actually listened to her new album, and I liked it.
Her new album, John, or The Matrix's new album?
No, it's mostly Travis Barker from Blink-182's album, to be honest. He
Really?
does all the music.
he just does all the music now, doesn't he? I think that.
Yeah.
Is he in charge of music?
He's now in charge of music. He's got that job.
He's responsible for this new... they've brought back pop punk. Everyone's doing pop punk, and that's how Avril Lavigne's resurfaced. And it's because he's just taken charge of music.
Genuinely, though, John, is it good?
I mean, I quite liked it. It's pop. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's pop. But the title track, Love Sucks, I thought that was great.
Did you like all the material?
At the time, no, because I thought I was too cool.
Is it?
I'm a
Is
punk,
this a
I'm not
step
listening
up,
to
or is it the same?
It's exactly the same.
But now
it could have been
you're ready
released
for it.
immediately after Skater Boy.
Okay.
The second song is called Boys. That's spelled like Skater Boy. Boys Lie, featuring Machine Gun Kelly. So
Yeah,
if John
yeah.
was listening to it, he'd go, "Oh, don't Machine Gun Kelly me."
But anyway, just to complete the set from other side. So we mentioned The Bug. There's also True to Myself by Eric Benet. Don't know if you have a little fact about that.
No, I was listening to the whole album on a YouTube playlist, and that wasn't the Eric Benet song that was on there. It was a different song.
Oh.
It was really, really good, but it wasn't called True to Myself.
It was
so I can't-
better than the
I can't say anything about it, but he seems like a good guy. I remember thinking the song that it said it was on the soundtrack, but it wasn't. Sounded a little bit like Prince in places, and that was the thing that I then looked at his Wikipedia, and it said he is married to Prince's ex-wife, and that was the only bit that was interesting.
This was the song that you said was good, wasn't it? Just
Yeah,
when we
it was
sat down,
really
said,
good.
"Oh,
And
this
but
is
now I'm
good."
looking at this list, and it's True to Myself, and that was called like How Come We Can't Stay Together or something like that.
How
But
come?
And I had a
there's no
fella going,
controversy.
"You gotta hold on tightly," in the background. It was really good.
But there's no controversy with the artist, right?
No, not as far as I can see. He seems like he's
Oh,
like a
thanks.
stand-up gentleman, but that's based on Wikipedia.
Well, that's what you have to do now, right? Whenever I get into an artist, I hear them. I always have Radio 6 on in the background when I'm doing stuff. So I'm like, okay, they sound really good. So I go on the computer and I put their name in, followed by controversy. It's like, can I like them? Let's see. What have they done?
I'm
Some
almost.
stuff
I'm
you're
the
like,
opposite.
okay.
I'm almost too willing to separate the art from the artist. Like even in cases where it doesn't matter at all. Like I will happily I'll be listening to Adele and just remind everyone I can totally separate the art from the artist. And I was like, she's fine. She hasn't done anything. It's like, but just so you know, I have separated it.
Yeah, just in case.
But also you have Revolution by REM are on there.
He sounds a bit like Marky Smith in bits on that song for some reason. He's gone for a weird vocal approach.
Now that would be better if The Fall were on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, The Fall... Actually, it would fall into a lot of people in this movie working on Repo Man. I guess if it went into that aesthetic, you could put The Fall in the movie. But
didn't our friend Joe McLaughlin play with The Fall at some point? Have I made that up?
I've no idea. It sounds like something he would do.
I know he definitely supported Kraftwerk, but that's totally separate.
No, he got sued by Kraftwerk. Totally different story.
That's a bit of a mix-up.
Because his band was called Kling Klang, and they had a recording studio called Kling Klang, and he got a cease and desist letter from Florian, what's his face, saying, please stop using the words Kling Klang. And he had
because everybody knows Kling Klang is associated with Kraftwerk, yeah?
Yeah, they were very serious about it, but he was made up.
I just kind of want to mention that at the party to him too. It's like, didn't you play with Kraftwerk? Like, no, I was sued by Kraftwerk.
That just makes me think of Father Ted with one of my favourite moments. I think I've brought it up before, where Dougal says to Ted, like, didn't you say that Father Jack once had a trial with Liverpool? Talking about football, and he goes, no. He was on trial in Liverpool.
Exactly that.
But yeah, the only one other track we did mention earlier in the movie briefly is the cover of Poison Ivy. And I feel really bad because I will butcher the artist's name of Michelle DiGioscello.
Sure.
Yeah, and I do know her from looking up that because one of my favorite things in music is when in titles they put things in brackets in the title. And she had the song, You Say That's Your Boyfriend, brackets, He Wasn't Last Night. I think that's a great title for a song. And I also remember when I was a kid and I had a tape of taped off the TV episodes of Beavis and Butthead, and that was one of the songs that they would comment over. So when I saw that title again, I was like, I haven't thought about that in about 20 odd years.
Oh, geez, I've never heard of that at all.
Yeah, the song is very nice. I think the Poison Ivy song. It's done some very interesting things with it. I think it got all mad chords instead of the normal.
I'll say too, from watching the movie just last night too, like that whole sequence when it came up, I was like, this really is a highlight of the movie. the pink gorilla bit.
Oh, it really is.
With the it's not sitar, but it's like the kind of Eastern influenced version of Poison Ivy that plays there as well. That's
I'm trying to think back to that. Who did we have on? Was that Disasterina?
It was Disasterina, Sabina Stent, and I can't remember who the third person was. It lasted a whole week. I remember it was three minutes. So.
My favorite thing was Disasterina hating it. It was wonderful.
But yeah, I mean, I'm noted out for minute 1, 2, 3. You guys, unless you want to get into more R. Kelly chat.
I've got a couple of.
Please don't.
I've got a couple of credits. I do have slightly more R. Kelly news, but I'm not going to go through all that. Although he did marry Aaliyah when she was 15.
This is you talking about R. Kelly.
I've got about 1,000 notes on R. Kelly. Because her manager, his manager helped lie about her age, actually. They listed her as 18 on the certificate, but she was 15. But anyway, in lighter news.
Next
You'll
time.
Like this, You'll like this, Niall. The CGI animator, Tim Ketzer, worked on Pushing Daisies.
Oh.
And he also did Spawn, which I feel is kind of similar visually to Batman and Robin.
Also similar soundtrack album.
Very similar soundtrack.
Actually, not
very.
No,
not really, but there's definitely a thread.
No, it's similar in that studio execs got together and with music execs and were like, look,
there's this new thing called The Prodigy. What are we going to do? How are we going to get around this?
There's a connection.
Man with the funny haircut on the front cover of the magazines. Look at him.
So my cousin who went to my school was in the same year as Alan Moore's daughter.
Oh.
So when Spawn came out, and Alan Moore was huge, and it was the Spawn there was Alan Moore and Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, yeah.
And that must have been before the film, but it wasn't long before the film, I don't think. It was during that big surge of now Spawn is like this cool kind of alternative superhero.
He's the superhero for the goths.
Exactly. Yeah, my cousin got a signed issue 1 Spawn signed by Todd McFarlane and Alan Moore.
Holy moly.
Somewhere, but he was just knocking about our house in the same way that some issues of the Beano and the Dandy were knocking about our house when I was a kid. And now I'm kind of like, I need to know exactly where that is.
I think that could be worth like tens of thousands, at least a couple of grand, at least. That's what you get out of that.
Yeah, big deal.
Depending on condition, obviously. But if it's just big, if knocking about the house in the bathroom,
indeed,
maybe
it was definitely in plastic. It was definitely in plastic.
Well, the only other credits are all boring, basically. The
only other credit note I had was as a guy called Chad Waters, and I thought, like, that's a rad name. I would have called him Chaz Waters. As soon as I see it, it's like, I'm gonna have to make the joke.
We've got to get a Simpsons reference in. We can't have an episode go by without that. I mean,
I just love the optimism of John saying the other credits are boring.
They are. I mean, do we need to know about
talking about, but the other ones? Whoa.
Do we need to know about Pacific Data Images working on ants in Madagascar?
Like they're some of our listeners, John. They're like, I can't wait till they bring.
Everyone's been listening for 5 years. I can't wait till they mention my company. Please.
Well, what are you talking about? Ants?
Yeah, Ants, the movie.
Oh, okay. I thought they were ant wranglers or something. Sorry.
They worked on ants scientifically. No, the film. The superior film to A Bug's Life, dare I say.
But what's superior to both A Bug's Life and Ants is
B-movie.
A potentially B-movie is the children's TV show. There's a very similar vein called Beat Bugs. And Beat Bugs is basically A Bug's Life or any one of them, and it's all about all the little insects that live together. But they have somehow licensed the rights to all the Beatles songs. And so each episode is based around a different Beatles song, but told through the eyes of an insect. So in Penny Lane episode, I think they get Robbie Williams to come and sing it. And
amazing.
Not that you see Robbie Williams in the episode, and someone drops some pennies next to where the insects live in a row. And so they all walk along it like it's a street, and then they sing Penny Lane. And it's a great introduction to Beatles songs for kids.
This sounds wonderful, but the name is stealing from Ash, actually, with the Beat Bats.
Oh, yeah. I did that.
I just learned my lesson too with Ricky too much. Wow, the whole time I was like, is he making this up?
Also about the Beatles, it's all come around. Michelle Diniggio-Shello, whose name I can't say, who did the Poison Ivy track, has recently started a radio show about the history of black music in relation to the Beatles.
Oh, really?
That's the thing. And that sounds interesting.
Oh, I will have a link of that.
Yeah, check that out, everyone, if you can find it.
Yeah, but because, fellas, Batman and Robin is reviled as one of the worst films ever made, we are asking the guests this season what the worst film they've ever seen is, which is I'm very intrigued to hear what you fellas might have to offer.
Yeah, and interpret that any way you want. Bad is, down to you.
I've seen a couple of really real stinkers just like very recently, and I don't know if it's like all-time worst. But I advise people, if anyone uses the Amazon Prime, go and find The Doll's House with Toya Wilcox.
Oh.
Because you'll have fun.
Can she act?
Toya's fine. That's not the issue with the film.
That's the tagline. That's what it says on the DVD case.
Toya's fine.
Toya's the best thing about it, and everything else is just. It feels a little bit like maybe it's a little bit based on Hereditary, like they've kind of gone for a camcorder, 10p budget kind of
amazing
British take on Hereditary, but it's not that. But it's kind of there's something there.
I would like to add an answer to Ash's answer. I want to give a different answer, but have it be Ash's answer, which is that you point everyone in the direction of Dragon Lord.
Oh, yes. Super Dragon Lizard Lord, right?
Best name ever, yeah.
It's sort of throwback to Toho Godzilla films, with like physical suits and stuff.
Amazing.
Filmed on a cornflake, with a soundtrack of terrifying noise, and it makes no sense. And me and Jimmy and some other people did voice acting for it.
Oh, that's
somehow.
why it sounded familiar. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's coming out on Blu-ray.
Is it really?
SRS Films is releasing it on Blu-ray. So
my word, that's amazing.
that's probably the way to watch it.
Because what state was it shot in?
Wisconsin.
But you recorded some of the voices for it.
Yeah, I was looking for information about a film called Pulgasari, which was like a Godzilla film that was either, I don't know if it's like directed by, but it's like produced and funded by Kim Jong-un, I think. One of that lineage. And one of the only things I could find was a weird YouTube video that was just this guy in like ceremonial robes in front of a blue screen, just talking about Godzilla films and other films in that vein with giant monster suits, but just kind of like rambling and going from one thing to the other. I looked at the rest of the channel and it had like these kind of MS Paint cartoons about Godzilla, and then like clips of him having Godzilla fights in a suit and stuff like that. And he's just like really into Godzilla. And I got in touch with him just to say your stuff's interesting, and got talking to him, and he had no audio for this film that he'd been working on since he was a kid, and I offered, I think, to do some voice acting for him, and me and some of my friends done it. And
amazing.
It makes no sense, but it really needs to be seen. It makes no sense.
It's definitely worth a go.
No. And you're saying, Mickey, this is the worst film you've ever seen.
The voice acting was terrible.
The voice acting is terrible.
I'm not going to add much to that, because I'd rather everyone check out what I think is called Dragon Lord Super Monster.
Super Dragon Lizard Lord.
Super Dragon Lizard Lord. What I had in mind, and this is just a quick addendum, is that my kind of like worst film that I really like is a film called Watchmen by Zack Snyder. The only note I had for it is that I genuinely think it fundamentally understands the source material. So, maybe that's a conversation for another time, but I'm a big fan of Watchmen.
I actually am a huge fan of it, so whatever.
It just hit me in the right point just before everything started making before Disney and all the studios started making content just for 38-year-old overweight dads. That was like the first thing that came out for 38-year-old overweight dads. Like, they're making something for me that I like, and it just hit me at just the right time.
Speaking to you,
There's loads of it now, isn't there?
Yeah, you're watching it. Boba Fett. Look at Boba Fett. My God.
Has anyone ever seen The Butterfly Effect?
yes.
Oh, yeah, the Ashton Kutcher, yeah.
Yeah. I think that might have been one of the worst films I've ever seen. Or like, really.
Hey, there's a sequel.
I remember it being like really well received and well reviewed and stuff. Was that not the case? Or
Ash has seen too many bad films. You're gonna have to stop Ash because
it's not even like meant to be a bad film. It's meant to be like an actual film with people in.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Don't watch the second one.
I just appreciated the twist of that though, because Ricky was going into like, oh, here's a film that I actually enjoy, and then Ash was like, oh yeah, you have heard of The Butterfly Effect? I hated it.
No, but
Effect,
I just found it exciting, and I want to watch it again. Because I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed.
But I mean, the other question we do ask is that, like, movie, because Batman Robin is like beloved by other sections of the population. Like, we're asking about movies that you will defend to the death that are regarded as being bad. But I know, particularly with you, Ash, this could be a never-ending, like army of stuff coming forward. But you might surprise us though.
Impulse with Captain Kirk.
Oh,
Shatner, Captain Kirk.
Yeah, Shatner plays a killer.
See, I'm sat in the room with Ash now, and I could just see all of Ash's synapses firing at once. The past 30 years of him being sat in front of tiny CRT TVs.
And all I can come up with is Impulse with Captain Kirk. But that's funny.
I'm going to step back. I'm going to step out of the fray on this one. I'm happy to leave it to Ash.
Captain Invincible. Has anyone ever heard of Captain Invincible?
Stop.
I don't
Wrap
think so.
up the episode. Wrap it up. Ash
he's a
will not
superhero.
stop.
He's a superhero, and I think his power is alcoholism.
I love it already. I'm
It's a
pretty
musical,
sure you
and Christopher Lee's in it.
Ash, what about the Bill Cosby films they used to show us?
Oh, Leonard Part 6. Has anyone ever seen Leonard Part 6?
Oh, no, I know the reputation of Leonard Part
Yeah.
6.
Oh, Leonard Part 6 is great.
I only saw him in Ghost Dad, I think.
That Ghost Dad's great too.
Ghost
that was
Dad's
good.
bad because so many people have actually had their dad die.
It's a real thing.
It's like, you don't make a film that's like, but they might come back. It's like, no, that's just like, yeah, that's the.
What was the film that was the same film as that, but he came back as a robot?
Oh, My Dad is a Robot. It's what I genuinely think it's called My Dad is a Robot. My dead
pretty
dad
sure-
isn't really dead, and your dead dad might not be dead as well. He might come back as a robot. Rent this film.
I was imagining now there's going to be a whole subgenre. It's like, what was the one where he died, but he came back as like a Hoover? It's like, oh, my dad is a Hoover. Yeah, that was-
And you thought
Wow.
your parents were weird, was it that?
My Dad is a Robot. That's about.
Oh, I think I'm spent.
Sorry.
We're in the best way. You finished me off, so to speak. We will head off then.
Oh, Foolish Games by Joel. Little fact about that. It's rubbish.
little fact about
He's having a go at doing Tori Amos. Fails. It's rubbish.
That's what she's doing. She's trying to be Tori Amos, isn't she? And don't get me wrong. One of my shameful things that I will defend to the death, but I'm also ashamed of, is I will listen to a little bit of delicate Tori Amos from time to time. But that ain't Tori Amos.
It's meant to be these precious things, isn't it?
We're going back to the start of the episode. Wrap it up.
Start it over.
You could say that the end is the beginning is the end.
It was
So Batman and Robin, minute 1.
There's a period of civil war.
Yes. We will head off into the dark night, hopefully to survive until we can wrap up the next couple of minutes for you, people.
I've still got two damn minutes left.
2 whopping minutes. And then we might be back with another season. You'll have to wait and see. So do join us again on Monday. Do our guests have anything else to promote, or are you just sticking with what you said on the first episode of the week?
I'll say Shakespeare's Storm again, and also 2021 Double Echo released an album which is called like a little
Crescent shape?
crescent shape that you can do with Unicode. So it's quite hard to Google.
Fantastic album.
I was going to ask you, like, what do you call the album? Moon?
We didn't think it through that well. Just call it whatever.
I've genuinely said, because I want to ask Alexa to play the album, and I can't say, Alexa, play Crescent Moon shape thing that Ash found on Unicode.
Well,
say crescent moon emoji. Maybe let understand that. I don't know.
Very
can be
good
the
album, though. I want to actually promote something, which is what I think, as we're moving forward as a society, I think everything's going to shift in this direction. Films falling out of favor, music, give it a rest. We're all a bit bored by now. I'm very much into Warhammer. So I'm painting. I have an Instagram page where I post pictures of my painted Warhammer models, and I do like praise. So if you want to look that up, that is Witchard, not Richard. It's Witchard, spelled W-Y Chard.
okay.
I accept likes for painted models.
I will send that. I work with someone who's obsessed with Warhammer, so I'll send it his way.
Thank you.
And listeners, if you like Warhammer or not, just check it out anyway. And also check out Double Echo in general, but possibly the best album, I think, that new one.
I would say so. New direction, I like it.
Might be, I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I think it's possibly the best one. So check all of that out. Come and speak to us. Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, Twitter at Bat Minute, Instagram the Bat Minute, and we will see you again on Monday for more wonderful credits and text and nonsense. It might just be me and Niall, though. No guest. Oh, you'll have to tune in to see. See you then, Batmites.
Next time, more drunk old men ramble, as that episode was a shambles. There was genuinely a shambolic element to that I hope is conveyed but also edited right down, because that was daft.
Next time, The best boy wonder. Kelly still croons over this lyrically contentious tune while we natter about the nitty-gritty of this nest of non-diplomes. Our hosts will continue discussing credits until the conversation runs dry. But which seasoned CG artists helped us believe this turkey could fly? We visit the VX team way downstream next time, Batmites. Same Batpod, different Bat Minute.
Since we've just said the words poison ivy, I don't know if we get to the end without me mentioning this because I just watched the film last night and I know you've covered it, so you guys will know. Why does poison ivy die when she falls into the plant that she was previously sat in?
I don't know. Why does poison ivy die when she falls into the plant that she was previously sat in?
Because it was time for her to leave.
Yes.
Oh, come on.